This is Abe Friedtanzer from Awards Radar, and I'm so thrilled to be speaking with Sydney Sweeney, who has had quite a fantastic year in TV. How are you, Sydney?
I'm good. Thank you for the introduction.
Of course, it's been great to see you on The White Lotus, which we'll get to a little bit later, and much more recently on Euphoria in season two. I'm curious, how much did you know about Cassie's arc and where you were going to go in the most recent season when you first signed on to play the character?
Like back in season one,
Yeah.
I had no idea. No clue. I didn't know what was going to happen for season two until a couple weeks before we started filming.
How did you feel about the direction of her character and what happened with her?
It was one of those things where it was like a nervous excitement because you knew fans were going to be very upset with Cassie, but as an actor, I got to explore such deep, crazy, amazing places that I've always wanted to be able to do.
Do you think that there are fans who see themselves in Cassie or don't want to see themselves in Cassie but do anyway?
I think it's that they don't want to see themselves in Cassie, or they do. They do see themselves in Cassie. She has so many beautiful and unbeautiful traits about herself that I think people relate to.
What do you relate to most about her?
We've all been a teenage girl at one point.
What do you struggle most with to connect with about her?
Um, she she has a really hard time communicating to others, and I feel like I've always been able to kind of voice my own opinions, and she doesn't really know how to even form her own thoughts in certain circumstances.
There are so many incredible scenes that I keep thinking of when I think about your performance in season two, especially like that breathing outside of the auditorium, which is a pretty intense ending. Um, but especially everything with the play, within the show. What was it like to get to experience that and I guess, to watch it being filmed? I guess that's where you were in that.
It was absolutely fascinating. The moment I walked into the auditorium, because they built it inside a soundstage, it took my breath away. It was absolutely incredible to see what they were able to build, and then the play itself was just unbelievable. I remember when we watched Austin perform the locker dance routine, and all of our jaws were on the floor. We could not stop cheering, and we were like, I hope no cameras are on us because none of us are in character right now, because we were completely blown away by everything that they put together. It was absolutely incredible.
It was especially fun, I think, to watch Jules watching the play, because her reactions were just like she was having fun, because it's not. I
Yeah,
think
she got to enjoy
right.
it.
It's not really, because she wasn't really central to it, and where I think everyone else was much more sort of biting, and it was very disorienting to watch. Also, just which in the best way, because just of everything, and that you're trying to figure out what's what and how much of it is really fiction and not. And I think that really is a big thread of the second season, which makes it very, very interesting.
It does. And it was also interesting to read as well, because we were trying to put together, okay, what is play, what is fantasy, what is real time, what is flashback. It was quite a puzzle.
Do you watch the episodes after you film them?
I do.
Were you surprised by how that one, especially with the play, sort of came
Oh,
out?
because there were so many different pieces that had to be put together that we didn't even see, because sometimes they filmed the audience separate from the actual play. And so there are many aspects of the play that none of us had actually seen. And so it was incredible to watch.
I'm sure there are also COVID protocols and other things that make it a different experience from what we get
Yes,
to see as the finished
exactly.
product.
It does. Because that was quite a big scene with a lot of people.
Yeah. Well, speaking of a lot of people, there were so many great other actors and actresses you get to work with in this show, and I think the one that was most interesting for me in season two was Maud Apatow, because she's really so much in the background in season one and gets to come together. And I think the scenes that the two of you share are mostly angry, sort of brooding scenes. So, what was your relationship like with her, working with her?
I absolutely love Maud. She has become a sister I've always wanted and a best friend of mine. And so it's quite ironic and funny that we play sisters and have scenes where we just kind of hate each other. There's like this deep rooted, unspoken situation problem between the both of us. And the moment they call cut, we're just laughing. Sometimes it's so hard to keep a straight face between the two of us.
It's also hard to think, how do we feel about Nate? It's hard to feel anything good, but I'm sure that there's more there. What do you think?
I think there's way more there. I mean, I might be biased though, because I love Cassie. So she sees a lot in Nate.
What do you think is next for Cassie in season 3? I'm sure you can't say anything. So what do you think might be
I
coming?
don't know, I get asked this question so often and I have no idea, because season 2, I thought I knew what was going to happen. And season 1, Cassie ended and she was so strong. She was going to become an independent woman, not going to fall in love. And then I was completely hit with the whirlwind of Nate. And I did not expect that. So I'm excited to just read and see what Sam comes up with.
Is there any characters or cast members that you'd really like to work with who Cassie so far hasn't, come near for any reason?
I mean, I would love for Cassie and Fezco to somehow meet up. I don't know how that'll work, but I love Angus, so that'd be really fun to be able to finally work with him.
That's true. I think he definitely is a fan favorite, and sort of his but every character in that show takes an interesting arc. It's a really rewarding experience. I feel like, especially the way that each episode starts with this narration is just so fascinating and so interesting to watch.
It is.
So, and speaking of fascinating characters, I got to watch you along with everyone else, I guess almost a year ago now, in The White Lotus, which is such a different show. But I feel like Olivia and Cassie aren't all that different. What do you think?
Oh my gosh, I don't think they're anything alike. I mean, they're both they've been teenage girls. They've gone through the struggles and trials and tribulations of growing up. But I don't think they'd be friends or relatives or anything.
That's fair. Well, fortunately for Awards Radar, we've had the chance to speak with a number of the cast members. And one thing I always like to ask is, have your family vacations been like that at all? Does this look anything like something you've really been through?
I've never been to a resort before, so it was a complete new experience for me.
And I know that was filmed like right at the beginning of COVID. So it was from what I heard, a very interesting like quarantining experience in Hawaii, but not like what it should have been in some ways.
It was. We were locked down at the Four Seasons and we had the entire resort to ourselves, which was pretty incredible and a dream, but we weren't allowed to leave the property and no one was allowed to come onto the property. So we were kind of in this glorified bubble.
What appealed to you most about that show when you signed on?
So many different aspects. Mike White, he's a genius. The entire cast, I felt like I was having the best comedy boot camp I could ever put myself in. And Olivia, she was such a fascinating, kind of scary character. And I felt like I hadn't played someone like her before, and I really wanted to challenge myself.
I also like the way you interact with Brittany O'Grady and with Fred Heshinger, who I think are people some people know them, but they're not quite as well known. I think they're really up and coming. What can you say about working with them?
Oh, they're both amazing. Brittany is so sweet. She's such a kind-hearted soul. And Fred is hilarious. Like, you will just enjoy your time with him no matter what. So it was really fun being able to play opposite both of them and kind of find different parts of Olivia through each relationship with both of them, because they're such amazing actors.
Do you have any interest in coming back for season 2 if that was an option?
Of course, I love that entire team.
That's great. And I think I first saw you on TV in The Handmaid's Tale, which again is another completely different show. And I think Eden, that was everything on that show is haunting and disturbing. I think that's a good way to describe it, but it's very, very powerful. What do you remember most from that show and that experience?
I try to remember absolutely everything because it was one of the most amazing shows that I'm very lucky I got to be a part of. The cast is one of the most phenomenal, talented casts I've ever been a part of. The crew work 110%, and it's just like this well-oiled machine that puts together such an incredible show. And it was a dream experience. I was a huge fan of the show myself, so being able to walk on the set after seeing it on TV or in like fan YouTube videos, it was a surreal experience.
I want to ask you about a few films that I've seen you in, but I'm just curious, how do you feel about film versus TV? Do you have a medium that you prefer?
I don't know yet. You know, in the beginning, before I even was able to speak on anything, I used to be like, I'm only going to do movies and not TV, and I have no idea why. And now I seem to be loving TV and not stepping into movies as much, but I'm trying to switch that up this year. I don't know yet. I think that there's so many amazing opportunities for both film and TV right now. So I'm kind of going wherever the character takes me.
Yeah, I really enjoyed your performance in Big Time Adolescence, which I feel is sort of like, I'm not really a lighthearted version of Euphoria, but I feel like it has some similarities in terms of like what would happen if people sort of stayed in the high school mentality. And I'm sure working with Pete Davidson was really a blast.
He's a lot of fun. He's hilarious.
And I also, Clementine is another great one. And this past year, The Voyeurs, which I think that like is such a different, I mean, all this, everything is like so different from the previous project. What was that one like?
I was so excited to do Voyeurs because Michael Mohan was one of the first directors that I had worked with. It was on Everything Sucks. And so it kind of felt like a full circle of being able to work with him from when I was like 18, 19 years old on Everything Sucks to 4 years later, and we're doing Voyeurs together. And it was kind of a reunion between a couple of crew members that were from the Everything Sucks as well. And he's such a kind and thoughtful and talented filmmaker, and I thoroughly enjoy working with him, and I hope I get to work with him again. And Pippa, my character Pippa, she always confused me, but then also fascinated me with just her interest in other things other than herself. And it was a very fun, kind of complicated character to play.
I was also excited to see Justice Smith in there, even though it's a complete, like, it's nothing like the role he played on Generation. I think that I'd like to think somehow that Generation and Euphoria, the characters could exist somehow in the same universe, even though they have like a very.
I mean, that just shows how talented he is.
Absolutely. Is there something that you're looking forward to doing in the future, whether it's film, TV, just a new character or genre that you haven't tried yet?
You know, I think that I'd really love to try something more in the horror space. I think I would enjoy that.
Do you have other projects coming up besides season 3 of Euphoria?
I do. I just finished a movie for Bronze Studios called National Anthem that Tony Tost wrote and directed. And I'm about to start a new movie. I can't talk about it yet. And then I have Madame Web as well.
Wonderful. Can you preview anything about Madame Web? I assume not, right?
I can't. I always feel like it's such a terrible tease.
No, it's good. I've learned sometimes you don't want to ask too much. I've let you say what you want to say because, again, there's so much to talk about and so much great stuff. It's really great to be able to unpack your work in all these shows and movies, and I wish you plenty of luck in the future.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Sydney. I really appreciate it.
Awesome.